All right, it is 4:06 on Friday, May 19th, and this is a meeting of the Transfer Station Committee for the town of Hanson. And let's take roll call. So Melissa Panetti,
Mike Dugan,
Eric
Joe
Hinscher.
okay. This meeting is also being recorded, video and audio recorded. So first order of business is that we need to organize more formally. And one of the things that we need to be sure of, because the committee members are Mike Dugan, Melissa Panetti, and Joe Weeks. Eric, you are a consultant, which means that you can't make motions or vote.
Okay, yep.
Make sure, although your input is extraordinarily valuable, that you are not doing either one of those things. So let's organize for chair.
before we do that,
Yeah.
Joe, I wanted your input on this. As a committee, are we bound to quote unquote formally open, or because we haven't organized, we can't do that right now?
No, I think I mean the first order of business is always reorganization. So I think as long as we reorganize, I think we're good. We don't need like a third party to help us organize. We can do that on our own.
Like, for example, our committee meeting with a motion to open that's seconded and voted, and then we're now open for business. And we haven't done that. So I guess my question is, for example, in your select board meetings, do you just go right in, or do you have a formal motion to open or not?
Typically what we do is, and I'm not necessarily sure that this is formal either, but we would have the town administrator, we kind of hand the gavel off for that period of time. But I think that's more of a tradition than it is a necessity. But I think since this is our second whack at trying to reorganize anyways, I think out of an abundance of caution, just so we don't have to do it a third time, I just say, we do it that way, Mike, just in case, because it's not going to hurt anything, and then just go from there.
I'm on board with it. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
There's I would make a motion for Melissa as chair of our committee.
Second it.
All in favor of said motion? Aye.
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 All right. And
I'll make a motion to. Oh, actually, no. Wait, you're the chair now, so never mind. I'm gonna stop talking. Go ahead.
So I will take a motion for vice chair.
I'll make a motion for Mike to be the vice chair.
I'll second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Okay. And I will take a motion for clerk.
Motion that Joe Weeks be our clerk. Joe Weeks.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. So we have officially organized by the book this time. Okay. So next order of business, I just wanted to, this is supposed to be say update on, that's a typo. The actual update from is scheduled and confirmed as of today. Confirmed for Claire and Todd from the South Shore Recycling Cooperative to be at our next meeting, which is scheduled for June 2nd at 4:00 here in this room. I believe they're joining by Zoom, and they're going to present to us on the existing models, local models for transfer stations, fees, and the same for townwide pickup. And I think, just reiterating what we talked about in our first meeting, I'm eager for this because it helps us not recreate the wheel. They're a wealth of information, and they interface with all of the local towns. So this is my 2 cents.
Joe, you can definitely make that, correct?
Yep, I can make that for sure.
Okay, because since that last meeting, I now have a conflict with that Friday afternoon on the 2nd, so I will not be here for that, but I will be, as long as there's the 2 there, you have a quorum to open. So that doesn't impact the meeting. And more importantly, trying to reschedule them. I think it's easier to continue on and gather all the information and let me play catch up than to try to reschedule.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
We'll have a recording
Yeah.
for you. Okay. All right. New business is next up on the agenda. I have 2 things. I think the Waste Zero contract really falls under new business. One being scheduling us moving forward and how we'll do that to sort of maximize all of us being able to be together, which is
Okay.
a challenge. And then secondly, apparently it's been floating out there for a while, unbeknownst to the Board of Health, but is the Waste Zero contract, which is our bags. And that is being renewed and the prices are increasing. So I'm bringing it here in part because
Right.
ultimately it's a Board of Health decision that we'll be voting on, but I also think it's important for this committee to sort of
How long would the renewal be for?
1 year.
Okay.
So,
And are we talking substantial or like another $1?
it is, I hope she gave it to me. So each case is going up like $1 or $2. So it will translate minimally, but it's still an increase. So part of the next Board of Health agenda will be to set cost.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Joe or Eric or?
No, I just might
No.
the 1 year renewal. I don't want to see us get tied in anything long term. And then have our hands tied to be able to look at other options, whatever those other options may be.
Yeah, agreed.
So Melissa, just a clarifying question. So Waste Zero is they just sell you the bags and that's it? The Waste Zero for this contract, it's just for the bags?
Yes, they manufacture,
The bags.
sell them to us, and then they go to our local retailers that sell them on our behalf.
And then the retailers, do they collect the money? Because I see the revenues come in, they collect the money from the retailers and they give it back to the town?
Correct.
That's what it looks like? Okay.
Correct.
But if Eric, on that point, I think at any given point in time, there's probably a $15,000 receivable balance, 15 to 20, that's constantly floating between just being able to get the sales from, say, Shaw's that converts to cash to go through their system before we get a check. So at any given point in time, there's that float that we're always covering.
Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Since it's new business, just to get like a little bit of a primer for myself, if you don't mind, just got a question now. So now the components of the transfer station. So obviously you buy bags. So the residents, they come in with the full bags and that gives them kind of permission to throw it in. So that's the bag portion of it. Like that. Yeah, so I'm a Hanson resident. I got a Hanson bag. So when I go into the transfer station and say, "Oh, he has a Hanson bag," you can throw it in. So that's that component. Is that correct?
Is that you got to have the sticker on your car to be able to get into there.
Oh,
Be able to then have the bag that you paid for. So it's, if you really stop and you think about it, all the way around, it's a triple taxation issue because there's part of your real estate taxes that are paying for the use of it. then you are paying a sticker fee for the privilege of being on the property, for the privilege of then throwing away bags that you've paid for.
Okay, I get it. Now, as far as the cost of the transfer station, now we have attendants. Obviously, they have to be there to monitor that, and then we have haulers that have to haul the trash somewhere, right?
Correct.
And then we have the tipping fees. So is that basically the whole operation in a nutshell? I'm oversimplifying, but I'm just trying to get my head around it.
You've got large item triptychs in there too, where somebody's throwing away a mattress or tires or something where it's not easy to dispose of. And then there's twice a year, there's the technology and
The hazardous waste day, hazardous waste collection day. Yep. Okay.
Hazardous waste is going toward a regional system. So we actually voted to join up through South Shore Recycling Cooperative, and I'm sure Claire and Todd will share the info on this. But the site will be in Hanover, and every town that is going to be a part of the region will contribute to that operation.
Yep. So the business model is truly is it's a transfer station. What it does, it's a mechanism for the town residents to get in, dispose of their trash, and the costs are we have to buy the bags, we have to haul the trash out of there, and then we have to pay somebody to take it, in its simplest form. And then the cost drivers right now are the transportation costs and the tipping fees. Okay. Yep.
Eric, I would add one more because it's so volatile is fuel surcharge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I put that under that. That's a good point, but I put that under the hauling costs.
Okay.
Yep, in my mind anyway. So, okay. And the revenue to support those three cost drivers are the sticker fees and the bags.
And the trip tickets, which
Oh, okay. Yep.
and we do get credit for cardboard as well.
Okay. All right. So that just we explain the whole transfer station, and it's just the revenue. Yep. It's get it.
Yep. Any other new business?
For me, this is kind of loosely tied into what we're just talking about here, and it might be just an agenda item for the future. But this fiscal year, I think all three of us in our collective full-time boards, as well as this task force, we really have to figure out the budget. The budget's going to be a really sensitive topic for the next 12 months until next May. And I think we really need to kind of focus as we're making we're trying to figure out what our recommendations or plans are going to be for the town, that we really and I know we already are, but really kind of focus on being budget centric right now and realistic with the town. So Eric, I think we're going to be relying heavily on you to hopefully not overburden you, but try to rely on you for projections pretty much every meeting to figure out how we can kind of hone in on realistically what the best recommendation would be.
Yep. That's not a problem. Yep. And if you want a standing agenda item, you can just have accountant's report, and I'll come up with if it's only once a month, I'll say, here's where we are with revenues, here we are with the expenses. Then Melissa can chime in, that's because this happened. So that might be good. And then just to add on to that is, I know at town meeting, what was requested and what was approved was $100,000 difference. Is that realistic? Can you operate at $100,000 less? It's just a rhetorical question for a future meeting, but maybe keep that in mind.
No, I think that, look, 80% of the expenses of the transfer station come down to fuel surcharge, hauling, and tipping fees.
Right.
I think we can safely wrap our arms around, I think that the initial projected budget was $428,000. I would tell you, without having a piece of paper in front of me, that labor and benefits out of all that might equate to 60,000, 70,000 of that number. And so you're really talking a good 80% of your budget is what is the cost to have somebody come get this and get rid of it? And it's the per ton basis that has continued to go up. It's paying for the recycling. So to your point, is 328 for the entire year possible? Probably not. But this was discussed well ahead of time that there are some triggers that we're looking at to supplement that at the October meeting once the fiscal year ends and things are moved to the general fund.
In this group, because it's meeting once a month, will really have their finger on the pulse of exactly what's going on. So that'll be help make a better decision in October as to what type of supplemental funding it may need.
I think we said we were meeting every couple of weeks. didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Couple weeks, okay, yeah.
And in this
That's good.
case here, again, it's where the comfort level of getting from now to October fell is that, even if we don't sell one bag, because that 328 was being driven by 200 from program fees, basically bags and triptychs, and 128 out of taxation. And I think we're all fairly confident that from July 1 to whatever that first Monday is in October, that 128 of taxation that's available to support that is more than enough to fund expenses for that period of time, even if one bag isn't sold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a high agenda item that needs to be readdressed in October, but
But it's nice because it dovetails right into what Joe was saying about like budget centric. So
Yep.
It's fine. It all comes together nice.
yeah, and Joe's absolutely right. We're not going down an entire budget cycle discussion, but we got through this overall budget with smoke mirrors, band-aids, anything you want to say. And I think we all collectively acknowledge that if we could make it through this one, then we're going to see what lines up for the next one, where the shortfall number is going to come from, and are we looking at other things, potentially looking at override figures, or is there a magic bullet theory out there we haven't found yet? So I think that at that point, then you can see things get right-sided a little bit. The issue will then become having that report done to give us more clear data and basically be able to go to the town and say, we're asking for a budget of X, and a third party is saying we should do this for this department, this for this department. Here's where we should be spending here, and kind of say, this is what we're going to need and this is what we're relying on. And I think that's going to go hand in hand with the transfer station, solid waste overall, as now part of a town department.
Feel all good. So I sorry, I don't want to be officially part of the committee, but I know we talked. So basically, so the options are, this group's going to study all of them, but basically operate the transfer station as it stands now, and then look at the costs around that type of service, or possibly a different model where trash is collected at people's homes. And I'm like oversimplifying it again, but in my mind, that's kind of, we need data to support like both decisions.
Right. So I think that we're at our next meeting, we're going to get overloaded with it, very welcomed data, but they are just a wealth of information. When I first came onto the Board of Health and met with Claire, and I had pages and pages of notes. she's very knowledgeable. She has some graphs and handouts around what other towns are doing locally. So very
Yeah, it's
helpful.
it's gonna be good. I feel I have to pay her for professional development after that if it's that good.
I know. I know. She's just a great help to us. So, and then, as I see it, after that meeting, that's when we really get down to business with all of the information. We talked about something last time, and which is the idea of community involvement. And I think just leading into town meeting, there was a lot of angst about what our articles meant, and we were fielding a lot of worry about the future of the transfer station. So granted, there's this meeting, which is obviously quite transparent, but it may be, I just want to keep it swirling, the idea of surveys and public hearings, and making sure that folks have an opportunity to weigh in as we go.
It's good strategy. It's the, as you say, wanting to be transparent. Don't want this to look like 3 people and a consultant made the decision for everybody.
Right.
And it's, as we go through the data, go through the information, here's what the recommendation is, but here's the data points for everything. It's not that you're hiding up one because you want to support the other. It's, here's all the points, here's what our recommendation is, and ultimately somebody else, i.e. the town, is going to make that final decision.
Right. All right. Other business. Joe, do you have anything?
No, I mean, other than just, trying to utilize and leverage Eric for some projections to help us make a better decision. Other than that, I mean, my thoughts on transparency, for a couple of different reasons. I think that this is going to be a sensitive topic for everybody. Everybody's going to be affected by whatever decision, even if the decision is to stay status quo, everybody's going to be affected in some way by it. So it's really important that education is key so people can make informed decisions as we make recommendations. But also, you don't want to go to town meeting thinking that you did everything and crossed all the T's, and then people still feel like they don't have enough information to make a decision. And where our stuff is somewhat time sensitive, it's extra important for us to be able to make sure we get enough word out there so that everybody feels like they can, make it, not to be a dead horse, but to make an informed decision when the time comes. So I think we just gotta, I don't know whether we need to link up with, the towns and make sure that we can have our own little tab on the new website as that rolls out, so that everything is there and laid out as we develop it. But I think we need to find a couple different ways to make sure that people feel comfortable as we're doing this. I don't think having open meetings. I think this is a great first step, just having open meetings, formalizing it, and all that, putting the recordings out. I think that all makes sense. But we just got to find multiple ways to get the information out there for folks.
Yep. I agree. Do we have do we have an outlook for when we would like to have this decided? Is it October town meeting? Is it beyond that? Are we sort of taking it as it comes?
My 2 cents on it is going to be, I would love to have some sort of presentation at October, but realistically, some sort of formal recommendation by October, I think, is going to be a coin flip, I guess, I'm not saying it's not possible, but for example, the June 2nd meeting, are going to likely get inundated with more information than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
Sort it through, see the avenues of how it's going to apply to us versus how it would better apply somewhere else. And then skinny that down as to here's role A, B, C, D, and then going with the pros and cons of each one. our final recommendation, get that into an article and get it to town meeting. I know October is a long way away, but I also think that the pace that sometimes things happen, that might be a little aggressive.
I agree. It's a lot to do.
Yep.
In a couple months.
Joe, you feel any differently?
No, the only thing I would add is that October feels like it's a long way away, but it is not a long way away. I think that I agree with everything you said. I think October is going to be, for me, I feel like, we just made what I think people feel like a drastic move in removing the enterprise account, and they're going to want to see how that plays out in the larger scheme of things, to see if we can manage it in certain ways, and is that too much change too fast? And I want to be able to. I haven't heard that from anything. I just want to kind of pay attention to that. So I think October we might want to give people an update as to where we're at, but also tell them how the changes of last town meeting have affected things. So the transition into whatever it is we're trying to do seems more fluid and organic than abrupt. So I think instead of putting an unfounded pressure on ourselves for no reason to come up with an answer for October, I think we use October as like the state of the union type of thing to figure out what the pulse is, and we give ourselves a more realistic goal of more formal recommendations in May, because we'd be coming up with the first budget cycle in this new way of doing things anyways. So give ourselves some breathing room, give ourselves some time. We don't even know what we don't know yet when it comes to this. So the more we can do this fluidly, I think the better off we'll all be.
I agree. Okay. Yeah, I'm hesitant to dive in with my thoughts on models and
Yeah.
hear from June 2nd.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
No, Melissa, from a resident's point of view, I mean, as a resident, am I happy with the way my trash is now? Because like I don't really, as a resident, I wouldn't even care. It's like, all right, I use it. I have a private hauler, that's fine with me. I can use a transfer station, that's fine with me. So what the residents won't like is if fees go up. If fees go up, if it just operates as a transfer station now, like what's going to drive the decision? Or are there a lot of residents saying, how come we don't have like waste collection? So I think the survey part of it is going to help as well. Like, what's the feeling? Like the average resident, like, is that your top 10 problems? Getting rid of your trash? Yes or no? It might be like, no, whatever. I handle it now. And it's just like a financial thing on our end, but just something to think about.
I think feedback from the community has been equal parts. Some folks who really want to see the transfer station go by the wayside and go all private, and some folks who want things to stay the way they are. I think there is a realization though for the folks that want to keep the transfer station open that costs have risen, and therefore that trickles down to the sticker fees, et cetera. So there's some realistic opinions around how to operate the transfer station moving forward and what that's going to cost to citizens. So,
Because like financially, I'm thinking the financial analysis, since I'm working on that, is like, it might be to make a viable transfer station as is, the sticker fee will have to be this and the bag fee will have to be this. But if we go to a waste collection model, the fee will be this or something like that. That's what I'm thinking, like financial wise, that's kind of what it's going to end up looking like.
there's also, having a sticker fee and no bags, which is, I'm curious what Claire and Todd have to provide around that. I know, just speaking sort of in how our family thinks about it, the bags are a bit of a deterrent for us because it's just one more thing to do. So would that draw more people to utilize the transfer
Call
station.
from Liberty NG. Call from Liberty.
Who's getting an incoming call?
Oh, he muted it. Okay.
Yeah, I put myself on mute so you don't hear that. That's me.
That's okay. Okay. Other things?
No, I don't have anything for new business at this time,
Yeah.
other than it's already been discussed.
Okay. So in terms of thinking forward to this summer, June 2nd is sort of what it is right now because we have guests coming. But moving into the summer, I think Fridays, I know for me, are going to be very difficult. I like to squeeze everything I can out of the summer. So I don't know how we'll do this and think about our, so 2 weeks after the 2nd would be sometime mid-June or the 3rd week in June. If there's a day that works better, I'm throwing it out there. I'm happy to try to be flexible, but Friday afternoon is going to be tough.
I understand that. I just would say that.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough for me too.
I would just say.
Trying to get out in the mental health field at 4 o'clock has been proven to be very difficult lately.
I would just say that I think speaking for, Joe and myself, Tuesdays are pretty much off the board.
Me too.
So you've got 4 other days in the week, or 3 other days to choose from. So we'll just kind of see what works best for everybody.
Joe, what are your preferences in terms of Monday, Wednesday, Thursday?
I think, all the days pretty much work. It's just easier. Like this week coming up would be perfect in terms of quote unquote freer time in the evenings. So for me, every other week is actually easier. I can just give you a list of dates that make sense, but any Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday, for the most part, doesn't get taken up too much by other meetings.
Okay.
Friday at 4 is typically the mental health call time for all the stuff that could possibly go wrong. So it's been proven to be that way so far. So any of those other days can probably work out better.
So why don't I send out a scheduling email? That way we all have you're not driving, Joe, and we have all of our schedules in front of us, and then we can get it out there and post it after the meeting on the 2nd. Does that sound okay?
No, that'll work.
Okay. That on my to-do list. All right. Eric, do you have a preference? You are necessary component here.
I can pretty much make anything work, but like later in the day is better for me. Like the time's good. Like 4, 5, 7 normally. It doesn't matter. I'll work. I work for you, so whatever you want is what happens. But thank you for asking.
7 is when I get like googly eyed and. Okay. All right. I'll put some times together and see if we can all come to an agreement on one. Okay, great. So, take a motion to adjourn.
You covered everything?
Yeah,
Waste zero contract?
that was the bags.
That was bad. Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.